Hey everyone, and welcome back to the vlog. Today I'm going to be taking you guys along for a bake with me episode. I'm baking special treats for my son's second birthday, and there he is right over there. Hey Cinnamon. He's chilling with grandma. Hi. I'm going to start off with the sugar cookies, and this is actually a really easy recipe because you don't have to chill it. You just make the dough, roll it out, start cutting your cookies, and bake them off. And they don't take that long in the oven either. I think this whole recipe might take you about half an hour. I preheated my oven to 350 Fahrenheit, or it's about 165 Celsius. And I have that preheating now. And then my recipe's right over here because, well, with baking, you have to be more precise. I start off by creaming my butter and my sugar, which is, I think, the basis of every cookie recipe ever. And then I'll have the full recipe in the description box below for anyone who wants to follow along with this recipe. So you start off with 1 cup of butter and then about 1 cup of sugar, so equal parts. And I'm gonna be using my KitchenAid to mix everything. I got this 6 years ago now. It's quite old, but it does the job. I mean, you might hear it when it goes. It's kind of on its last leg. And then 1 cup of granulated sugar, white. You can use raw sugar if you want. And I'm gonna cream that for about 2 to 3 minutes. And the butter that I have is room temperature, so it's like softened. I'll show you guys. When you go like that. So this has been whipping for about 2 to 3 minutes now. That's the consistency I'm looking for. I don't want it to be like a whipped butter because then it's over whipped. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to mix my eggs with my flavoring. So I have 1 egg for this batch. Almond essence, which is alcohol free. I have about a teaspoon of essence. I'm using almond and vanilla. And then I'm using just vanilla sugar, 1 tablespoon. Okay. That. And this is part of the reason that you don't have to chill it because it has an egg in it. There. I'm just gonna add that in to my mixture while it's mixing. Now we're gonna do 3 cups of flour. So we're gonna mix our dry ingredients in a separate bowl. I'm just using all-purpose. And there we go. Leveling it off. And I add in 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Again. And it's going to be about half a teaspoon of salt. But you should always add salt to your pastries. It brings out the flavor. They're so funny. Look at the little gingerbread house. It's so cute. You're funny. Put these in the sink so I can clean them right away. Because I do a clean as you go. Ignore this light, it's bothering me too. And now it's just kind of like a crumble consistency. I'm just gonna mix it. Yes, Mama. So I put the dough here onto the counter. It's still a little bit dry, so I'm gonna work it a little bit with my hands. And if you find that it is needing a little more liquid or it seems a little bit crumbly, yeah, you can add about a teaspoon of vegetable oil at a time or melted butter. And then I'm gonna divide it into 2. We'll make 1 ball over here. I'm gonna roll it. This smells so good, by the way. It's too bad I'm pregnant. Does anyone else like eating cookie dough? I'm pretty sure a lot of people do, but like sugar cookie dough, it smells heavenly. And this recipe actually doesn't take too much time. It's just because I'm filming. Forward surface. Roll my sleeves up just a bit so I don't get flour. And I'm going to try to roll it to about 1/4. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start cutting my dough, and I'm going to start cutting, well, circles because I'm doing moons. There we go. To lift it gently off. And then I have my oven already preheated from the beginning. I have some non-stick baking sheets here. And then I just put some silicone mats on it just in case, because you never know. I don't trust to non-stick anything. And they take about 6 to 8 minutes on the oven, in the oven. You don't want the corners of the cookie to brown because if they brown, they're gonna be more crispy. I really want these to be soft baked. All right, so this one's raw, this one's cooked. It's been about 7 minutes that I put this one in. And these are fine. You're just gonna let it cool on the tray for 5 minutes and then we will transfer it. So my mom's reading stories to Suleiman because it's his bedtime, but I'm gonna finish cutting my crescent shaped moons. So I'm gonna do circles again, and then I'll show you how I do the crescent shape out of that. This time when I remove the circle, and anything, all this like extra stuff, all these extra bits, I'm gonna roll out again and just continue to do that until I've used all my dough. So here are the cookies, as you can see. I've decided to sit down for the rest of this baking process. I'm gonna be now making the royal icing. This is an egg-free version because I'm currently pregnant. I actually don't wanna use raw egg in this because I tend to avoid that anyways while pregnant. But if you're vegan or vegetarian, then this would be a really good option for you guys as well. It's about 1.5 cups of icing sugar. Then I'm gonna go ahead and add my 1.5 tablespoons of milk. I'm using creamer because I love the vanilla flavor in this one, and I do want more vanilla in my in the flavor of my cookies. And I'm gonna use 2 tablespoons of corn syrup. So this is what makes it different than the classic royal icing, which you would use egg white or meringue powder for. Meringue powder obviously is egg white, so I still avoid that as well. Add a couple drops of this white icing color because I have the corn syrup in here and I don't want it to take on any type of tinge. I want it to be super white, so I'm just gonna add a couple. I've seen it for quite some time, and this is the consistency we're looking at. Perfect for gingerbread houses at this point. See, it takes more than 10 seconds to return. But I want it for piping and flooding. So I'm just gonna first add a little tiny bit of more milk, about 1/2 tablespoon or less. I'm just gonna start off with 1/4. When you bring it up, it should kind of disappear back into itself, which it is. So this is almost at the right consistency already. And you want to keep this covered when it's not in use because it will dry. I'll do a moon just to show you guys what I'm going to do. I put my moon right over there. I'm just going to start piping. The first technique of lining and filling, I'm not even really changing consistencies with this because this is a pretty good piping consistency and filling consistency anyways. Just a little bit of icing, spreading it with as I put light pressure on the tip of my bag. Just let it sit, and if there's any bubbles, you would just pop it with a toothpick. There you go. Another method is flooding the cookie. I'm gonna add about 1/2 or less tablespoon of milk again. We're gonna try to get it to a flooding consistency, which is less than 5 seconds returning back to itself. My cookies, and just dip it in, pop it out. Give her a good old leveling there. I'm just gonna give it a second to let all the bubbles come to the surface. You can also go through the bubbles and just kind of pop them gently like that, and then circular motions to level out your cookie. That's the cookie. So this is a really good method for just simple shapes like squares and circles. So for the moon ones, what I'm doing, I have a little bit of these Wilton sprinkles. They look like that. And I'm just gonna do like a couple sprinkles here and there, just so it kind of looks like a moon. These are what we're looking at for now. Like the crescents, but it's okay, I'll fix them up. These ones turned out better. It's the next day. My mom's on the phone with my sister, but what I'm going to be doing is decorating some cookies. I drew some faces on with some edible marker. Just these edible markers, just so I know what I'm going to outline with. I made the exact same royal icing, except this time I added black food coloring to it, which is the Wilton Black. And I'm just going to trace what I drew. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab that. And I have a fine tip silicone again. That's number 1. And I made some with the number 2. Probably add some stars to this in a second. I also have a mustard yellow icing that I made this color as well, which I will do. I'm also gonna flood some of these empty moons that I have from last night, but I'm also gonna add like cheeks, and I'm gonna add stars to some of these things, so I'll show you what that looks like. And this is the finished result. So we have our crescents. They're not looking too bad. I think these ones in the center are my favorite. And a couple of these. Some of these turned out a little black metal looking, but whatever. We're calling it a cookie for now. So these are the ones that I'm gonna hand out at the party. And I'm also gonna be making cake pops and a cake. So I'll work on that later tomorrow. But I thought I'd show you guys. And if you like these types of videos, please be sure that you like this video, subscribe for more content. I will be uploading more like this next week when I show how I prepared my son's birthday party. Until then, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.